Barkevisser, the modern day mystic, as she helps you find your personal intuitive uniqueness and universal alignment for a more meaningful life. You're listening to The Modern Day Mystic with your host, Cynthia Barkevisser.
Well, good afternoon. This is Cynthia Varkavas, your modern day mystic, and I'm coming to you live from the French Quarter in New Orleans, Louisiana. I have a special guest today. Her name is Chris Anderson. How we met is actually a pretty interesting thing. I'll tell you the story in just a little bit. But the reason I'm having her out here today is she is a property owner in the French Quarter in New Orleans, and she manifested this whole thing. Really amazing story. But before we get to talk with Chris, I would love to let you know that you're more than welcome to ask her questions about manifestation in a short bit. All you have to do is call in to 657-383-0608 and then press 1 if you want to talk with us. And if you're feeling a little shy, feel free to just hit the chat room and we can answer your questions that way. So without further ado, may I introduce you to my friend Chris Anderson. How you doing, Chris?
Hi, doing great.
Good.
Hello,
Thank you so much. I'm sorry?
Oh, I was just saying hello to everybody listening.
Oh, thanks.
Being inclusive.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. And I was just thinking back, the way we actually met was really super interesting too, because you and I met in San Francisco at your house without ever really even having a formal introduction.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
I do. And why don't you go ahead and tell the story?
So we have a mutual friend. Her name is Del Medina, and I was looking for a place to do a class. And Del said that she knew of someone who was a nurse, and I think at that time you were already no longer a nurse or just getting ready to switch on over, and that it would be fun to have a place to do a class at your house. And so we did the class, and I think that's the first time I actually did channeled readings too, where clear channel readings where I actually went under and did a little practice there. But you had a very lovely place. You were such a great host. And who knew that, I don't know how many years later, I would be on Facebook, and you and I are Facebook friends. And I would happen to say that I'm in New Orleans, and you call me, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
You didn't know that I had moved here. That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
I moved here in 2012, and I think it might have been like a year later that you contacted me. I don't know. Do you remember the year you were here?
I was here. Let's see. I was here in 2014. So I was here in 2013, 2014, and then now. So 2013 is when I saw you. But you know, the funny thing is that so we were friends through Del, and then I knew that the circle hadn't been finished because we ended up having another mutual friend, another nurse, right?
Yeah,
so,
Eloise. Yeah.
Right, who's also an amazing tarot card reader. So, so anyway, so here we are, and then you had time, and actually I think you made time for me, and you showed me your place in the French Quarter.
Yes.
Okay, so
go ahead.
No, so I walked on over. I just wanted to go ahead and ask you if you could retell the story of you getting to New Orleans, because I don't think it was an overnight thing that happened, right? I don't remember you saying that.
No, it wasn't at all. But what I find interesting and I think it is of value to other people is to explain that it was one of these times in my life when I was open, just completely open. My children were grown. I was winding down my career. I had been 32 years an operating room nurse, and then for the last 10 of those years, I was the director of surgical services. And so at 32 years, I was just done. I didn't have one more drop to give to that.
Right.
So I was just really open to something else to do. Came down to New Orleans for a wedding, and just said, I've always loved New Orleans, and I love New Orleans music. I love the food. I mean, who doesn't love all of that?
Right.
And so a friend of mine had said, well, go look up this fellow named Kevin. And I went and looked up Kevin, who plays music on Bourbon Street. And we ended up in a relationship. And I mean, honestly, I would never move for a relationship, but it was like a package. Now, all of a sudden, I thought, I would like to live here. And so I would come back and see Kevin every week. I mean, I'm sorry, every month, not week, month.
It's still a lot, yeah.
And well, because I was also looking at property.
Right.
And I looked at this place, I looked at that place, and the place that I ended up buying was twice as much money, huge amount of, sort of work that needed to be done to renovate and update and do that kind of thing. But it just called me. From the moment I saw it, it called me, and I kept trying to find something else, and it just kept going. It just kept calling my name. So I kept coming back over and over again.
Now, how long? Because I remember you said that it kept calling you, but I mean, you took some time really answering that call, right? How long was that?
Oh, it was months. It was months. But I mean, I would dream about this place. I would, it just had to happen. I kept trying to make it not happen.
Right.
It had to happen. So when and then when I bought it, and this is sort of an interesting, 4 days after I bought it, Hurricane Isaac blew the roof off of the main house. And I'll describe what the property is like in a moment. But there's 3 buildings. In the main house, the roof blew off, which then with insurance money actually helped me do all the renovations that I needed to do, or restoration, really, not renovation.
Right.
And so the hurricane was kind of my friend in this particular instance.
Right. And didn't you say that not only did it help with the restoration financially, but it also helped time-wise because it was insurance money, it had to be done in a certain time. Do I remember that correctly?
Well, it is correct, but it wasn't just because it was insurance money. It was also because every room in the main house got wet, and so it all had to be done right now, whereas it would have drug out for years, little by little by little, taking this up, replacing that. But everything had to be. So we lived in the kitchen for a few months, which was an interesting way to start off my life here. But it was all good. I mean, you keep your sense of humor, and it all works out.
Well, the other thing too is not only did you, talk about the restoration, because it's pretty amazing how true to the house you are and who the house belonged to.
Yes. So I have felt very connected to this house from the moment I got here, and during the restoration, they always wanted to punch holes in the walls, and they're double brick walls. In fact, we have a horrible time with our Wi-Fi because it can't get through all these brick walls. But it was almost like an affront or an assault to the house. Every hole that we had, so I kept trying to avoid putting holes in it. And the other thing is they would want exposed brick, and I remember having, it was almost like a dream. I wanted to plaster over it, and because we actually had it down to the brick because it was such a mess after the hurricane, and everyone was petitioning for exposed brick, and the house actually talked to me, and it said, if you leave exposed brick here, it'll be like I'm walking around in my underwear. So I said, nope, can't do it. We got to cover up the brick, because I think it would have been sort of shameful, like they didn't have enough money to do it properly.
Right.
But the house, to get to your other question, the house belonged to Charles Laveau, who bought it in 1810, and I have the whole chain of ownership of the house from the 1700s. And in 1810, it shows Charles Laveau, FMC, which is Free Mayor of Color. and that was Marie Laveau's father. And she lived just around the corner on St. Anne Street, so I have no doubt it's like, 2.5 blocks away. I have no doubt that she was over here on this property. Now, another interesting little story, right after we moved in, we had a wedding, and for about 100 people or so. We have a fairly large courtyard, and the people who were getting married had asked for a voodoo priestess to officiate, and so she came in early, and I took her on a little tour, and we went back into kind of the most primitive area, way in the back, which is brick, and she put her hand on the brick wall, and it's actually the old horse stables, and she said, nothing bad has ever happened here. There's spirits everywhere. They're so glad you're here. And there's someone named Eileen. If you ever see that name, she's looking out for you to make sure everything's okay. And when she said those words, I just absolutely knew it was true. I just knew it was true. Well, so I just feel so connected to this property.
Oh, and that property is absolutely beautiful. And again, you took such care in the stewardship of the whole property, that there's only one, if I remember correctly, there's only one house that is not so true, and that's because that the owners before you started doing some construction, and although the construction was good, it definitely was not time period specific, which was kind of a bummer, but you decided to kind of keep it that way.
Well, they did a really good job of it. They just made it could be anywhere in the world, and it doesn't look French Quarter.
Right.
So I've tried to funk it up a little bit. I think I've painted it since you saw it. It's a little more riotous in the colors, and I've tried to. It's hard though. The bones of it are sort of contemporary.
Right.
Nothing to do about it. But some people love it. They love it because it does have the granite countertops and all that sort of thing, and they like it. So
yeah,
it makes some people happy.
Yeah. No, I really loved it, and it's it's super functional. It's just I loved hearing how much care you put in the property. It was really sweet.
Labor of love.
Yeah, and please tell everybody. So you touched upon Hurricane Isaac, and you talked a little bit about the things that you had to go to. Are you okay with talking about what you did to say thank you to the hurricane?
Oh, I made a little shrine. I have a little Isaac shrine. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the reason.
Yeah, because I really am thankful. I mean, well, for one thing, I mean, it was like a baptism to come here. I'm from San Francisco. I don't know anything about hurricanes, and to survive this hurricane. I mean, there was one point where we had dormer windows and the shutters had blown open, and so I went out to reach the shutter and almost got sucked out the window. And I'm trying to close the shutter. And the wind was so strong, it blew it out of my hand. It smashed against the side of the wall, and it ended up a block away down the street. So that was like nothing I've ever experienced in my life. I mean, it was my welcome to New Orleans. Hello.
Right. And now you're still bi-coastal, right?
Yes. Well, I've got little babies in San Francisco, so I have to go back periodically.
Gotcha. Well, and it's kind of a nice thing. You have one type of vibe with San Francisco, and then you got the different vibe in New Orleans. But I have a feeling you're getting a little bit more and more New Orleans central.
Oh, I would be here permanently if I didn't have family in San Francisco. I should have always been here. I mean, when I look back to to all the things I've been drawn to all my life, like the music. I until I got here, I didn't realize that all of these artists that I loved from my childhood, teenage years and such. I mean, I like the Beatles too, of course, but I mean, just obscure Lee Dorsey and the Neville Brothers, and whether or not obscure, but a lot of them that are of Alvin Stein Robinson, they're all from New Orleans. And now that I'm here, I'm learning that they were all here from New Orleans. And then stories about New Orleans, and I could go on and on and on, but I've always been drawn to it, but I didn't really realize it.
Right. Well, let me ask you this. Do you feel the calling, the calling is really strong. I feel it too. And I always am surprised when I talk to people and they don't feel as drawn as I do. So I love talking with you every time. But do you feel like this is like perhaps a past life thing?
Oh, it absolutely could be. Yeah, and I have no doubt because I land here and I'm home. I just feel home. I've honestly not done a lot of research on that. I just take it for granted. I take it, for granted, not for granted, but at face value.
Sure.
I just accept it at face value. I haven't really delved into it, but I feel. How would I say it? The race issues here were so much more evolved and complicated than anywhere else I've ever heard. I mean, it was more an issue of money and social standing, and not so much of race. There was just more an acceptance of race. And I feel, well, here's another funny thing: is my son ended up marrying my beloved daughter-in-law, whose grandfather is from New Orleans.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So she actually has ties to New Orleans. I mean, it's just a funny, small and getting smaller world.
Pretty amazing. Really amazing. So now let's talk about manifesting. So you were super open, and I think you told me that when you just knew that you were meant to be bi-coastal. And can you talk more about that?
Yeah. I had always wanted to be bi-coastal, and I always imagined it would be San Francisco and New York, and it would be as a function of a job. Because I do love to travel. I have no problem with being on a plane. I really enjoy it. And I don't know, some people get irritated with that, but I actually like being, well, now you can actually be more connected on a plane, but I like the disconnection.
Right.
Nobody can bother me when I'm on a plane. But yeah, and then it just kind of ended up that it was, I mean, this is a coast. New Orleans is, or it's right near a coast. It's probably going to be a coast if the wetlands keep eroding, but that's a whole other story. But now here I am, and I am bi-coastal, and I love every minute of it. But the only downside of that, my new motto is, no matter where I am, I'm missing something, because I have two full lives.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm always missing something that's going on with somebody.
And yet you have this amazing, amazing life.
Oh, I am not complaining for 2 seconds. Not for 1 second.
Yeah, no, and I didn't mean it that way. I'm sorry, but man, you have an amazing life. And I love talking with you.
Every morning I wake up and I'm grateful. I'm just absolutely grateful to be able to do what I do.
Yeah. So now I have to ask you, because we're in New Orleans, and now you are this new, what do you call yourself when you're from New Orleans?
New Orleanian.
Okay. So now I consider you a New Orleanian. I have to ask you about voodoo. So here I every time I come, this is my 4th time coming over, fall in love with it every time. But there's a really funny thing when it comes to voodoo, and I want to know more about it, but I feel like I really can't get any closer to it, just because it's just not open to me. So when people talk about voodoo, it feels very commercial, because I'm talking about it in the French Quarter, or maybe not. Maybe that's just a way to keep people, really happy with a glossed over answer. But what's your take on voodoo, and what are your experiences? besides the voodoo priestess, or even with the voodoo priestess that you had?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little. I came here. I have huge respect for it, and I stay away from it. It's not my world to participate in. That's just my gut feeling. I came here 20 years ago, maybe, for Jazz Fest, and I was living with a man at the time, and I went to go see Marie Laveau's grave or tomb. That's right up the street, and my friends made a little wish, and I thought, oh, what the heck, I'll just make a little wish, because supposedly you do things with a penny and X's and something, and then I came home, and to the place I was staying, and there were 12 phone calls from this man that I was living with in San Francisco. And when I finally called him back, I thought, oh, my God, what's going on? He said, it's cold, it's dark, it's empty, you have to come back right now. I mean, it was like he was having some crazy nervous breakdown. So I finally came back, and much against my will because I came back early. And then 2 years later, I'm telling this story, and I realized, oh, my gosh, I had wished that he wouldn't be able to live without me.
Oh, man.
I never told you this story yet.
No.
So then the next time, so then we were together for 6 or 7 years or something like that. We finally broke up, and we just went our separate ways and talked once every 2 years, something like that. And I go over for the second time to go to Marie Laveau's tomb with some friends again. And I told him the story, and I said, I'm staying way, way back. I'm not having any part of it this time. And as we're walking across the street, my phone rings, and it's him.
Oh.
And, I mean, we only talk to each other every 2 years, and it just happened to be as I was coming back from visiting the tomb again. So the answer, I actually have the same take on it that you do. As far as the commercialization. We had some tours that were coming through here for a while because of the Marie Laveau connection, late night ghost tours or whatever. And I went out and listened to them, and they were just making stuff up. And I just felt like it's, whatever is here should not be exploited, and I felt like they were exploiting it. And because this is my sanctuary, right, I had to tell them I couldn't do it anymore because I just felt like it was sullying my sanctuary. It was contaminating my sanctuary.
Right. Well, I understand that. That makes sense because sanctuary has one energy, and then putting something else that is not that energy makes it just it doesn't feel good, right? Just because it's almost in conflict, and to keep it calm and serene that takes a lot of work.
And people feel it. I mean, I do. When I market this place, I call it the Quiet Oasis in the heart of the French Quarter, and not that people don't come and stay and drink and have fun and laugh and that sort of thing, but I don't want it to be a wild party place because it is serene and just an oasis. And
it's absolutely beautiful. Oh yeah. Before I go on, I just want to remind people to call in and just call 657-383-0608 and press 1 if you'd like to talk with me and Chris. And Chris, I do want to finish up and say, hey, your court. Well, first of all, the whole property is amazing. I fell in love with it, and I love the history of it, but I love the love that you have put into it, and I love how Kevin's energy dovetails in with yours, and that it's, that there's, again, thoughtfulness, there's respect, and there's music there. I love that there's music there. There's play there. And just tons of respect. And there was a time I'm still looking to see if we can't use your courtyard respectfully and have a readings courtyard. So I'm still looking into it just so that you know. It's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to go to break, but before we do, I would love people to know how they can get a hold of you.
We have a website. It's www.courtyardinthequarter.com, all one word, Courtyard in the Quarter. And on there, there's a couple of buttons that you can hit that will for either phone or email, and both of those go directly to me.
Great, and I highly recommend anybody going. Chris is not joking. You're just a couple blocks away from Bourbon Street, if that's what you're looking for. Just one block more if you want to go to Royal Street for a different vibe, and then you walk back. And as soon as you walk through the gate of her house, it's as if you weren't in the French Quarter, but you know that you still are. So, Chris, are you happy? I believe there is someone that would like to talk to both of us. Would you mind hanging on after the break and talking a little bit more?
Sure, no problem.
Okay, great. So we're going to go to break. Again, this is Cynthia, your modern day mystic, and we will catch you on the other side of commercial. If you want to call, 657-383-0601 and press 1, or you can ask a question on the chat. All right? Talk to you in a few.
Experience the magic of Angel Heart for You, nestled in the heart of beautiful downtown Benicia, California. Embrace the aroma of scented candles, essential oils, incense, and aromatherapy products as you wander the aisles of inspirational and metaphysical books and gifts. Enjoy the positive energy vibrating in this historical site where the well-known author Jack London was once a frequent visitor. If you're in need of a smile or a hug, Angel Heart for You is the place to visit. Do you have an intention or a wish to manifest? Experience the magic of our intention tree. Email us at angelheartforyourradiochannel@gmail.com and be included in our sacred intention tree ritual. Just write us your intention and we'll offer it up in fire along with those left in our store. Then offer them again to the beach and water in Benicia. May angels be with you in all your comings and goings. Love, Angel Heart for You. Join us for the experience of a lifetime. Sacred Connections Sedona Retreats invites you to a powerful 3-day retreat in the beauty of the high desert. People travel from all over the world just to experience the healing vortexes in Sedona, Arizona. Through a series of mindful meditations and spiritual activities amongst the Red Rocks, let the land call you home to your higher self and source. Surrender, transform, Sedona. Sacred Connections Sedona Retreat is hosted by Angel Heart for You radio hosts Tana Newberry and Linda Grindell. Learn more at www.sacredconnectionssedona.com.
You're back with Cynthia Varkavas, your modern day mystic, and today we're talking about manifesting with the crazy, amazing Chris Anderson, who is the owner of courtyardinthequarter.com, a vacation apartment place. We can talk a little bit more about her place sooner in a moment. Apologize for that. But when Chris is ready, I would love to start taking in callers. So, Chris, are you there and ready? Okay, great.
I'm here.
Okay, so we have Sarah in Florida, and she wants to know about finding a job and moving into a residence. So, Sarah, are you there?
Yes, I am.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. How can I not be so happy talking with Chris and just, having such a fantastic time with her?
Yeah, yeah.
So, I hear you have a question for us. How can we help you?
Well, my question was about career and moving into my own space, and I know I need the job first. I work a very, very part-time job, and as I was telling the question to the person who screened me, next month I will be at my very, very part-time job 2 years, so it's not like I don't want to work. I've applied, and I've had some in-person interviews, a Skype interview, and nothing seems to be breaking. I don't know whether it's because of my wonderful age or what.
Gotcha. Now, I forgot to tell everyone this. May I please get your age and your birth month so I can connect with you energetically?
Right now my age is 56, and my birth month is August.
56 is nothing. It's awesome. Just last Friday, the person I was interviewing is 56, and she had changed careers and is doing really well. So, and if you've heard of Louise Hay didn't take off on her stuff until she was in her 60s, late 50s and 60s.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You should check into her bio. It's not, she was having some rough times too.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Louise Hay.
So she's one of those people. So hang in there. I can tell you right now, you're in a place where you can really shift up, but this is the year where it's up to you. So you cannot fool yourself this year, okay? And here's what I mean by fool yourself, which is to say, I am worthy of a job, and then you turn around and very quietly say something mean about yourself to yourself, okay? Because you're in a year of being an expert. You're in a year of being a master. You're in a year of being in control. Kind of like what Chris said when she was in that part of manifestation where she was super open and all of a sudden all these things started happening, right? Does that make sense when I say that?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the year where it's very important for you to be very careful. Or now, when you say careful, I apologize for that. This is the time to be really aware of what you're saying, and then you got to back your play. You know what I mean by that? So if you say that you're worthy for a job, then you have to say that you're worthy for a job even to yourself. Okay? Because what happens is that you say good things about yourself, like I'm a good worker, I'm this, I'm deserving, and then you turn around and you have all these things, and it's very private and very quiet. I don't think anybody knows, but you do say these things to yourself. They're like doubtful things, but they sound like statements. Okay?
Okay.
So this is the time that you have to shift that up, because this year people hear what you're saying, but they're not feeling what you're saying because you're not feeling what you're saying just yet. That's the reason why you're not getting a job.
Okay.
All right? I know it sounds super easy or kind of like basic, but this is a big deal for you because you're a pretty private person when it comes to really talking about who you are to yourself and how you feel about yourself. So you have what I call game face. So you talk really good talk to a bunch of people, and you talk completely differently to yourself. You know what I'm saying, right? And disagree with me.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Okay, now once that happens, everything will start flowing. So if you promise to yourself to work very diligently on this for 3 months, and when I say 3 months, it's not 90 days. It's more than 90 days because March has 31 days in it. April has 30 days in it. May has 31 days in it. So if you can, what's that, 92 days? So if you can hold out for 92 days and really work on it, and it's not about being perfect, it's really about being aware and working on that condition, then what will happen is that things will start happening, and you'll be getting multiple job interviews, and then you get to decide how you want to play it out. And then from there, you can go ahead and work on a place of your own. Now, let's go to the place of your own. Are you at a place where you have a time limit?
I'm going to say yes, or maybe when I get a job, I would not have a time limit, but I have a time limit.
Okay. So is your time limit less than 92 days?
Probably.
Okay. So in the meantime, you're going to have to do old-fashioned hustle and just do whatever it takes just to get you to those 92 days. So this sounds crazy, but for you, I wouldn't be surprised if you could do this. You go online to Craigslist and you see what's for free, and then you pick up what's for free, and then you turn around and sell that stuff. So you end up being like a middleman, and it's, like I said, it sounds crazy, but it's one of those weird types of hustle that you have to do. And as you do the hustle, you are all about saying, I can do this. I am a success. I can do all these things. And that's how you're going to make your extra income. Because what I'm hearing is that your part-time job is not allowing more time, and you're not willing to do another part-time job because your part-time job is not consistently part-time.
Well, my part-time job, like I said, next month will be 2 years.
Sure.
So,
sure.
I mean, if I got a part-time job with what do they call part-time nowadays? 30 hours. I mean, that would be doable.
Uh-huh. So you could do that. So that's the other recommendation. And just know that this other part-time job is temporary. But I also feel like it would be better instead of getting a part-time, if you got a part-time job that was more commission-based or where you could be in control of your own money a little bit better, then you'd be better off than that because you can create your own time as well as your own money. But so just out of curiosity, have you asked your part-time job if you could do more hours?
I don't want to do more hours with my part-time job.
Okay. All right, that's fair.
I mean, it's in the evenings, and it's like from, any time after 5:30.
Gotcha.
I can work like say 2.5 hours.
Uh-huh.
And I don't have a problem with that.
Uh-huh.
But
Well, like I said, I would recommend anything where you can feel like you can be in control of your money as well as your hours. And those are things that are commission-based as well as, or sales, something like that, where you'd be better off than getting another part-time job where you're working for another company and you're working 10 hours here and the other one, right, part-time. You'd be better off finding something where it's a little bit, because, that way you want to feel like you're your own boss, and I get it. I love feeling like I'm my own boss. Okay. Chris, from a manifestation standpoint, you got any suggestions?
Well, the one thing I want to say is my manifesting New Orleans, I was 60 years old, so I'll be 64 this year. I think that getting stuck in the part-time, whether it's part-time or full-time, I agree with what you were saying, Cynthia, is it's not about how many hours or how hard you work, really. I worked really hard as an operating room nurse, and I don't know how to say it. It's like you work harder and harder and harder, and there's almost diminishing returns. I think sometimes if you just, I don't have words for it, you might want to help me out, but if you just kind of clear your mind of the story of, if I do this, then that will happen. We're very linear. We tend to be very linear, and the more you can open yourself to other possibilities and not think, well, this is the path I have to follow in order to have enough money or have a relationship or whatever it is that you want. I think when you let go of the stories of how that has to be, then you can see things that you wouldn't have otherwise seen.
Okay, I totally get where you're coming from. So how are you understanding where we are with this? Sarah?
I mean, I heard what you said, but I guess my mind was wondering, as you were saying it. So I don't know if I grasped what was needed to be grasped.
Okay, so let me put it to you this way: is I can the only timeline I can give to you is 92 days. Okay, and and what you may want to do is that this recording does go into podcast. So, and you're on podcast, so you're more than welcome to go back and listen to it. But I'll go very quickly. Is that because it has to do with you being the master this year, you're the master of all these things, that the thing that is keeping you stuck is that private you that keeps saying this stuff. Chris was calling it the old story, and I was calling it the private you. But both ways, it's the piece of you that keeps talking to yourself that you don't let anybody else talk to. Then what you're going to want to do is, once that happens, is just being aware, and from there forward, the job will happen and the move will happen. Just so you know, the job will happen first, and in the meantime, you may just have to do some good old-fashioned hustle. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So please feel free to listen, or if you want to, you can call me back one-on-one. I also have classes, and I also have another show if you want to call back for more clarification. Okay?
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Callers, feel free to press 1 if you want to talk with us. Otherwise, feel free to hop in the chat room and ask a question. Let's see. We have another question from another caller. Her name is Jeannie. She's actually from Central Valley in California, and she has a question for us. She on the line?
Yes. Hi, Finn.
Hey, how's it going, Jeannie?
Good. How are you? I wanted to ask about superficial play toys, but I really want to ask about my career choice. I want to know since you're talking about manifesting, I want to know if I'm going to be able to manifest a business helping people through group therapy and also through meditation, and if I'm going to make that a viable business.
You can, but what I'm hearing is that right now you're talking, and now you got to walk your talk. Okay, so in order to do your thing, it's important for you to daily have your meditation practice at a certain time, to start talking about what your format is going to be for your group therapy, and really start lining it all up. Okay, because right now what I'm hearing is that you don't have the, it's not a business plan, but let's just call it an outline. You don't have the outline together just yet.
No,
right?
I've just been thinking about it, and I think, because I've been thinking, what do I really want to do that would be fun and that I could make money at and have a good time, because in the past I've had so many jobs that I really just didn't like, but I did it just because I needed the money. Right. And actually the job I'm doing right now I really enjoy, but that's a little commute, which is, it's not that. That's the only part I don't like about it. Everything else I really, really like, and I have a good time. It's fun to go to work. And I just would like to be my own boss more so. And and I'm just trying to, I sit there and put that out every now and then. It's like, what else could I do with this that I enjoy doing? And you're right. I'm not disciplined enough in my meditation practices.
Yeah, and I wouldn't call it discipline. It's kind of funny because when you set your mind to something, you're super disciplined about it, right? You like almost hyper focus on it. But until then, everything just kind of gets screwy loose, right? I'm just saying that because I know and love you so much. So,
I know, no, it's true.
So
that is true. And I get too focused on it.
Yeah.
And
right.
So go ahead.
So the answer is yes, it can happen, and it will happen as soon as you make the commitment. And once you make the commitment, the other part of the commitment is to decide: are you doing it to make money? Are you doing it to help people? Do you see what I'm saying? You got to find out what that thing is. Here's why. Is that if you're going to go and you're going to say, I'm going to do this to help people, trust me, you'll make money, but your message is clear. If you're going to say, right? And if you're going to say, I'm going to do this to make money, you're going to be able to help people, but it's, but again, your message is clear. So outline and then message. Outline and message. Okay? And then the outline has to come from experience. Okay?
Okay.
All right, last question really quick. Chris, anything you want to add to that? because she is the manifestation master. I am not joking.
Yeah, no, your advice sounded great. That was great.
Oh, that's it. So I got an A+ from Chris.
Awesome.
You always get an A+. Come on.
All right. So now you have your marching papers, and the thing is that's beautiful is that you get to march to your own drum. And the question is, are you going to start listening to your own drum beat?
Yes.
Actually, I do have one little comment to make. I think a large part of the success here is that I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it for the love of the place and the love of the people that I host here. I try to keep the prices just at the point where I make my expenses and I'm able to live here for free, which works out really nice. But I think when you were talking about the message will be clear, I tend to agree with that. Is I think people feel the love and care and sense of place here because it's not about the money.
No, it's absolutely right. And your prices are really good, especially where you are. It's crazy amazing. So, all right, Jeannie. So you got it?
Yeah, I do. And I think yeah, let me ask one more thing though too about that. There's some classes. Do I need some more education to really get this started so I can make more connections?
Again, so this is about being really clear in your message, okay?
Yeah, okay.
All right. So what I will say is this: if you go, you can say that you're going for connection with other people, but really you're going to go to make connection with self. And then what you're going to say is, this is what I would do, this is what I won't do. And every time you say that, you're making your commitment to your business. So you keep making the connections, but really be really clear about why you're going there as well. And if it is to make connections, that's great. But my sense is that you're going for yourself to help you with your discipline and to help you figure out your business, not to be judgy with the other classes, right? But just get you more connected and going, oh, see, I go to class twice a week. I go see Connie.
That made perfect sense when you said you're really making a connection to yourself. I totally get that.
Great.
That makes it perfect sense to me.
Great. Okay.
Very
so
clear.
You got it?
Okay. Yeah,
All
I
right.
got it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Jeannie.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Chris, that was awesome. So much fun, right?
It is fun.
Yeah.
It is fun. And see why you enjoy doing this.
Oh, I love it so much. I mean, I can't really think of too much more that I like more than this. We do have another caller. Her name is Julia. She's from Austin, Texas, and she is talking about supplementing her income as well. So when Julia's ready, I'd love to talk with her. You there, Julia?
I'm here. Sorry, I'm going to turn down my music. I have the oldies on.
Oh, I love the oldies. Are you there still? Did you get your music going? Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. It was the Drifters, Save the Last Dance. Okay.
Love that.
Sorry.
You can dance. You can dance, right?
Yes. So my question is, and thank you so much for taking my call. I have my own private practice, and I'm also an intuitive, and I do readings, and I also do crystal energy healing work, and I have my master's in counseling psychology. Now, I've just recently moved my office into my home, and I'm still working on building up my clientele, and I'm thinking about becoming a Lyft driver and going through their, buying a car program to supplement and make up that, financial difference. And I'm also doing readings, on an online forum, and I also teach kids in China English online as well. So,
wow.
Yeah, I'm wondering what you're picking up because, of course, I'm too close to it to read myself, and I try, but I feel like there's many, many factors for myself.
Sure.
And okay, yeah.
No, just so you know, you're not alone in all this, especially on the business owner intuitive level. It's a really scary thing. It's a very scary thing because, where do you get your degree? How do you prove your degree? How do you, prove the trustworthiness, right? So I totally get it. But before you even just hearing about the lift aspect, what I'm hearing is that you're not trusting your talents. And so by not trusting your talents, you're actually diversifying. So if you think of your energy as money, right?
Yeah.
And think about all the different jobs you have. So you're putting all this money into I think you have like almost 10 different pots. Right? So if you have 10 different pots, and one's for Christmas and one's for your bills and one's for vacation, the next thing you know, you actually have no energy or no money just for yourself to have a good time today, right? Because you just pop. So I'm going to actually go not woo-woo and actually go very linear with you, is that Steve Jobs, of all people to quote, right? He was amazing because he had the gift of being able to pare things down. And that's what I recommend for you. Trust what you're doing and pare things down. If you really love working with the kids, then really stick with the kids, pare everything down, put all your energy into kids, build the kids' business, and then also build your readings business. Okay? The other thing is that you're intuitively, you're blending your house too much with your work. And so it's important to really delineate what's your business in your house and what is your home.
Yeah.
Okay, because the sense I'm getting is that it's a little bit blended, and it gets messy and messy energetically. So what happens is that you end up robbing time from one to have for the other, and this is the time to be very diligent in your time frames.
Yeah, and this. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I just started. I haven't even seen my first client yet. My first client here in my home will be tomorrow. And then pretty much everything is virtual. I'm moving all my current clients, to phone readings. So
that's great. That's great. And can you tell me, when you talk about the kids, is that group setting? You said?
Oh, the kids. Well, the kids is really just. I found that something I could do from home. And it's online, and it's one-on-one.
Okay. I have to tell you, as much as you do well on one-on-one, you actually will thrive in group settings. Okay? I'm not, And I tell you what, why don't you tell us what the name of your business is?
I'm a transpersonal healer.
Nice.
And my name is Julia M. Hoffman. Yeah.
And what's your website?
My website is juliamhoffman.com.
2 F's. Julia M as in Mary, Hoffman, 2 F's.com.
Yeah,
right?
HOFFMAN. And I'm also on Blog Talk as well on Friday evenings on Psychic Tapestry.
How you like it?
I love it. Yeah, it's great.
Oh, good. Good. So here's what I'm sure you, and so I'm not surprised that you love it, because again, it's one to many, right? It's so even though you're hitting one to one, you're hitting a group of people. You do really well in group settings. So the last caller, Jeannie, was talking about doing group therapy. You would actually do well to do group therapy as well, and I believe you can do it online, virtually, as on Skype or something Skype-like, so that they can actually see your face. You have a lovely face. I say that intuitively, and I'm not stalking you, I promise. And just really pare it down. Trust your work. Because every time what happens is that you say, I need to make a little bit of money. What happens is that you're branching off, and you're branching off away from what it is that you love to do.
Yes, then that's what so it makes complete sense. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
You're absolutely welcome. And the last thing is, if you are deciding to do lift, then you got to cut everything else out besides your readings, and then you're down to 2, and you're very clear. Okay, so one last thing. So let me ask Chris. Chris, you got anything else you want to add?
No, I think that was pretty clear.
Okay. Okay, great. So, great. So, do you have any other questions, Julia?
I don't. I unless there's anything else that Spirit wants to say, I think I'm pretty good.
No, it's as long as you start working on groups, I think you're gonna be extremely happy, and you're gonna see that the money is going to shift, and then you'll find the safety to start paring your things down. And and it's okay that you're a super private person. I want you to know that it'll still get you okay to be with groups. Trust it. Just trust that groups. You're not going to have to give any more of yourself because you really are private. So that's okay. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be super successful.
Beautiful.
All right? Thank
you so much. God bless.
You.
Love you both.
Oh, you as well. Chris, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. I've had a really good time.
Oh, me too. Me too. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, no. Yeah. So my pleasure. What I would like to ask you is we've talked about all the metaphysical and spiritual things around your property, but we didn't even talk about, what kind of place you have for guests to come arrive. I would love if my friends were to come, or when my friends come to the French Quarter, to give you a call and stay with you. So can we talk a little bit about your place?
Sure. It's 3 buildings. The earliest record is about 1810, so they're 200 years old. Sometimes the doorknobs act like it, so they get a little cranky. But it's the 3 buildings. The front one was the original owner's unit, and it's where Kevin and I live. The side building was the original kitchen, and then the back building was the slave quarters, and behind the slave quarters was another courtyard and the stables. And so the side building that was the kitchen is now a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath rental unit. And the back building on the left side is a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. And then on the right side, there are 2 studios, one above the other, one on top and one on the bottom. And they all kind of surround on 3 sides a large courtyard that's full of banana trees and lemon tree, Satsuma orange tree, a large crepe myrtle, lots of ferny, bushy things. Right now we have a bunch of camellias in bloom. I try to always have something blooming at all times. And, brick courtyard. And each of the units has its own wrought iron patio, table, and chairs. So you can sit outside and have a little beverage of whatever your choice is, coffee in the morning and whatever in the evening. And it's just a very peaceful, serene space.
Yeah, it's very sweet. When you were talking about the wrought iron furniture, it was really lovely to see that everybody had their own space and that you had the opportunity to talk to your neighbors if you really both wanted to, but there's no need. It's not like you're in each other's face or anything like that. And it's just so quiet. You wouldn't even know that you have neighbors. It's that enclosed and just that lovely. So
yeah. Yep. And the one thing I didn't say is we do have frequently have groups, and we can accommodate up to 12 guests.
Easily,
mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
Well,
so
we don't usually go over the 12, mostly because of the wear and tear on the buildings, and especially the plumbing.
I forgot about the plumbing. I didn't even think about that. That's important.
I don't forget.
I'm glad you don't. Obviously, I did. Well, listen, we are just about ready to finish up our show. Thank you so much, Chris, again. And please, everybody, please visit her website, courtyardinthequarter.com. She has an amazing space, and she's an amazing hostess and just an amazing friend. So please, please, please come visit her. I would love to thank Hannah, as always. She is our producer extraordinaire. and Angel Heart for You for having this channel. Please follow me on Facebook. I'm at Facebook.com/Cynthia Varkevisser, and there I am known as the Everyday Mystic. Please call me at 415-740-7955 if you're interested in having a personal consultation, either in person, video chatting, or over the phone. You can also find me at Angel Heart for You in Benicia or in Berkeley at Angel Light Books. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you again on Friday.
Thank you for listening to another empowering show. Tune in every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Monday and Friday to hear our live shows. Learn more about our live shows at www.angelheartforyouradio.com and keep tuning in to the Angel Heart for You radio channel.